Hi, Rich Tehrani here in the TMC newsroom at Interop, New York, 2009. Today we're speaking with Hunter Newby, who is the founder and CEO of Allied Fiber. Hunter, how are you?
Great, Rich. Great to see you.
Great to see you as well. Give us the 30-second overview of your company. I'm sure everyone knows it, but just in case.
Okay, Allied Fiber is a new neutral dark fiber construction build going on through the U.S. with a multi-duct design that incorporates short haul and long haul for fiber to the tower and fiber for rural networks throughout the U.S.
So we keep hearing about this broadband tsunami, this wireless broadband tsunami, mobile broadband tsunami. Your company is helping to provide the backhaul or the ability to connect all of these devices to the net. Correct?
Yeah. The essential underpinning of the future of mobile broadband is LTE and or WiMAX, depending on the vendor and the technology and the service provider. But LTE is being deployed in mass here in the U.S. next year. And the problem with it is, on the backhaul side, you really need fiber to support the wavelengths and the Ethernet transport. And the copper infrastructure that exists out there and has to the towers for years just won't suffice. The issue is, in bringing the fiber to towers in the U.S., it's very disparate and fragmented and difficult to do. What we're doing is building a new long-haul route on railroad rights-of-way, but having a secondary duct that's meant to be cut every 3,000 feet for fiber pairs to be brought to the towers on the railroad right-of-way that already exist, in addition to adjacent towers, that meet the need. And that way, we'll be able to lease fibers to service providers that want to bring Ethernet right to the tower.
So there's a big push, not only in the U.S., but around the world, for broadband stimulus funds and broadband stimulus in terms of rural areas. How does your company fit in with that?
Well, our first phase, which is New York to Chicago and Ashburn through Harrisburg, is being privately funded. But we did apply for stimulus funds through the broadband stimulus in the U.S. to go from Ashburn down to Miami. And that would really only be to accelerate the infrastructure construction in that segment. So we're doing everything in the U.S. in segments.
That's awesome.
The demand is there, but the cost to build in some of the sections of, going through Tennessee, for example, is expensive. The demand, of course, which is very much justified by the need for rural America, has been identified by the broadband stimulus. Just in D.C. right now, they're going through a lot of iterations and definitions of terms, and it's taken a while. So we're moving on with the new duct construction in our phase one now, and we intend on delivering fibers in July of 2010.
Oh, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
So you're at a show which is primarily an enterprise show, and you made some observations a little bit earlier about fiber in this event. Could you repeat what you said, please?
Yeah, certainly. When I first came in, I ran into a friend of mine, Henry Wasik, who's the CEO of Force 10, and I've known him since he was the CEO of Tehrani Networks, which they built the Traverse platform, which is very much a TDM, Sonnet SDH-based piece of equipment. And we used that in my former company, Telex, at 60 Hudson Street for SDH conversion for subsea. And this was 7 years ago, 6-7 years ago. The world was still very much largely TDM. And I always used to comment that Ethernet coming out of the enterprise is starting to take over carrier transport. Well, to see Force 10 here, which Tehrani and Force 10 had merged about a year ago, to see Force 10 here at an enterprise, like you said, enterprise-focused show, but with their core Ethernet switch platforms that used to be for carrier core transport networks, now enterprises are buying them. In just short 3-4 years later, enterprises are buying what was a core carrier Ethernet transport device. So that tells me a lot of things. The enterprise aptitude level has increased, their risk tolerance has gone up, meaning they're buying bigger pieces of hardware because they have more data to move, whether it's just traditional IP traffic or data center, data storage type traffic, and now even video type traffic that a lot of enterprises are shuttling around. And as they get sort of deeper and deeper into the network layers themselves, so by core Ethernet switches, I see their need for transport going up from regular FAST-E or GIGI circuits into wavelengths, and for some enterprises even to dark fiber itself, which is obviously where we sit. So it's good to see that.
And that would be just for enterprises that just have massive amounts of traffic, I guess, right?
Massive amounts of traffic, but that also want to manage latency.
Right.
They have recovery replication applications, deterministic routing applications, things that they need to know the specific route, and they can't necessarily rely on a carrier to build the route for them at the IP layer, because that can get shifted and moved on different legs.
Right.
And you want, as an enterprise that has that level of sensitivity and need, to know specifically which route that path is taking, so that in the event that there's a cut or an outage, you can reroute it yourself.
Right.
You can't get that from buying an IP product from an ISP or other type of service provider. You can, to an extent, get it from buying layer 2 transport, whether it be Ethernet or wavelengths, in a map, but then still the carrier is sort of left to changing or rerouting based upon maintenance or service outages or whatnot. And the true control would come when a large enterprise or one that has a need, a gamer, a financial trading firm, whatever, they go out and they lease their own dark fiber, they put their own equipment on it to light it, and then they know that that route is the route that it is until they change it.
So numerous benefits.
Tremendous, lots of different benefits. And again, it fits a certain pocket of folks that need it, but that pocket's getting bigger, as evidenced here at Interrupt.
So what are we going to expect for 2010 in the short amount of time we have left for the interview?
Well, there's going to be more infrastructure development around the world, as there is now. Many countries all over the entire African continent, Western Europe, parts of Asia. There are fiber builds going on all over, all types of rights-of-way, sewer, oil, gas, electric, rail, everywhere. And they get it. They also get the interplay between microwave wireless for backhaul and fiber for the core transport to interconnection points. They largely get that because their countries are smaller than the U.S.
Right.
We have a big geographic problem that we have to contend with, and the legacy concept of a single carrier providing that has largely gone away. They can't afford to. So hopefully what we're doing in the U.S. is adopted by most people around the U.S., the country infrastructure that we're building, and regional and metro networks can connect to us, and we can really help drive broadband penetration like there is in other countries.
That's very exciting. Hunter, thanks for being on the program.
Thanks a lot, Rich. Good
Great
to see you.
Great to see you as always.
It's fun.